2020's been the year I've fallen in love with small phones. It's been about a decade since bigger was better for me, since the original big-ass phones of the late 2000s. But this year I have definitely started preferring smaller phones. And here, in our long-term review of the Google Pixel 4a, I'll talk about one of my favourite phones of 2020. I'm Matteo, the Chief Mobile Opinionist here at Tech Travel Geeks. If you don't already subscribe to the Tech Travel Geeks here on YouTube, please do so. Right then, the Google Pixel 4a. This is their affordable offering from their smartphone portfolio. And in 2020, rather than have an XL and a standard size one, as they did in 2019 with the Google Pixel 3a and the 3a XL, we just got the Google Pixel 4a, and in just one colour at launch, just black. The Google Pixel 4a is a new design for budget smartphones from Google. It's all plastic, just like the Google Pixel 3a's were last year, but it has a much more refined and simplified design. The all-plastic body just curves into the screen on the front. That screen on the front is a 5.8-inch OLED display with a notch, a cutout for the notch in the top left-hand corner of the screen. It's a very nice display. It's a 60Hz display, but that full high-definition plus resolution in the smaller size makes it feel crisp and really vibrant with regards to color reproduction and especially when watching video. It's a really good display, and the smaller package is really quite a pleasure to use one-handed. The Google Pixel 4a brings back one of the key features I think is really important on a smartphone, which is a fingerprint reader. Especially in this year when we're often wearing face masks, it's important to be able to access your phone securely without having to compromise potentially your own health and that of others. So it's really good to see a fingerprint scanner on the Google Pixel 4a and ergonomically placed on the back where it's easy to reach and easily discoverable without having to look at the phone. The Google Pixel 4a just has 3 buttons on it: the volume rocker and the power button on the right-hand side of the screen. The power button is, as we've seen on previous Pixel smartphones, a slightly different colour than the rest of the device. It stands out, it's a bit of a clash or a contrast, and it's a really quite nice feature in terms of looks. The smaller chassis of the Google Pixel 4a sadly meant that the battery had to be a little bit smaller. That means that the Google Pixel 4a has a 3140 mAh battery powering the device. Now, for most people, 3140 mAh in 2020 is a little bit too little, but I would say that Google have tightened up the overall product by giving it an efficient chipset, the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G, and through software optimizing things so that, in my personal experience, even in heavy use, I've always been able to comfortably get through a day with the Google Pixel 4a. So, yes, it's a smaller smartphone, but what's the overall software experience like? When the Google Pixel 4a launched originally, it had Android 10 on it, but not long after Android 11 launched, I got the update, so it was literally days before I got Android 11 on my Google Pixel 4a. It's the latest version of Android, it has some nice refinements on Android 10, and it's the Google Pixel experience. It may be considered a bit Spartan if you're coming from a Xiaomi or a Huawei smartphone, but overall, it's very functional, and there's nothing to stop you adding to it if you think that your smartphone experience needs to be a bit more blingy. The Google Pixel 4a's overall experience is characterized by decent battery life, and despite not being a high refresh rate screen, despite not being a flagship level processor, it's very nippy and very fluid. I really didn't notice the fact that this is about half the price of the previous flagship and around about half the price of the newer Google Pixel 5. The overall experience is excellent, and at the £350 price point, you're definitely getting much more than you're paying for compared to a lot of the competition. Now, one of the key things of Google Pixel phones is the camera, and Google have included their tried and tested 12 megapixel camera. Nothing revolutionary, nothing reinvented, Apart from some improvements on the software compared to the original Google Pixel 4, and pretty much on par with the Google Pixel 5's camera. So you're getting a lot of good quality camera, though not the newest one, which tied to Google's software gives you probably one of the easiest overall smartphone camera experiences on the market. It just points and shoots, it does a good job in most lighting conditions, it does an amazing job in low light if you can stop and be patient for a few seconds, and in my experience it does a very good job in low light if you want to take pictures of the sky. We hope you enjoy these sample pictures we're putting in this review. Our Chief Aperture Officer has been doing a great job of editing these videos throughout lockdown, and hopefully what time I've spent out at night with this camera on a tripod will show you how much value the Google Pixel 4a offers in its price range. Now, the Google Pixel 4a is a really good phone, and one of the things that really endeared it to me even more than I was already in love with it was the fact that it has a courage port. It has a 3.5mm audio jack. That is unlike previous Pixels since the Google Pixel 2. Google has not included the headphone jack, but in the more affordable Google Pixel 4a you still get that. And you also have USB Type-C for charging. That gives you fast charging, which means that at 18 watts with an 18-watt charger, you can get from empty to full in about an hour and a half. In my experience, that's not been needed. We're in lockdown, I've not been traveling much, but it is a nice feature to have, and the Google Pixel 4a delivers there. The Google Pixel 4a is a capable device. That Snapdragon 730G chipset is an update to the one we saw last year on the Oppo Reno 2 and other smartphones, and overall the experience has been great. What I would say is, I haven't spent a lot of time gaming on this smartphone. The Google Pixel 4a is more than capable of playing games like Goat Simulator, or Threes, my favourite casual game. But for all the basics like messaging, social media, posting pictures, posting videos, it does a really good job. And you may see that in some of the Tech Travel Geeks videos this year, there's been a little bit of B-roll. Some clips of video were actually taken on the Google Pixel 4a. So, to sum up, the Google Pixel 4a is a really well-rounded smartphone. It delivers a lot more than you'd expect from the £350 price point, and doesn't mess around with useless features that look good on paper. It delivers really good value for what it is without overdoing things. Overall, I'd say the Google Pixel 4a is one of my favourite smartphones of 2020. We will be doing a roundup of our personal favourites of 2020, so make sure you're subscribed to the Tech Travel Geeks channel here on YouTube, and we'll let you know when that has been published. If you'd like to know more, if you'd like to let us know what you think of the Google Pixel 4a, feel free to leave us a comment in the section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and goodbye from us.